I'm actually expecting loads of teams to take it really seriously because several teams benefited from a long, hard league campaign last year. You look at what Down did, they came through some tough matches, got an early game in Croke Park. You look at what Dublin did, the Leinster Championship was a disaster for them, but they did have a relatively good league campaign and almost made the final in the end. Mayo not so, but Cork definitely benefited from the momentum that they got. And maybe also some tough games that kind of put them in a rhythm for the rest of the season. On the hurling side of things, it's impossible to know. You know, Dublin really needs success. Galway really needs success. And then all the lesser teams who are just that run behind Kilkenny and Tip also need success. What Cork hurling team is going to show up? How will they deal without Sean Ogue? So those are really interesting questions to be answered over the coming months. Initially, I would have said it's far more difficult for Tipperary to forget about the euphoria, because what they did was such a historic thing. They stopped a 5 in a row, which has never been done before, and they were making up for all the heartbreak of the previous season. But actually, a lot of the same kind of metrics will apply for the Cork footballers. I think Tipperary, because the backbone of the team is so young, they should be able, for all of the drinking and partying and the intensity of the training workload this early in the season. And then likewise, you look at the Cork footballers, they're still a pretty young bunch, all told. It's just that they've been around and knocking on the door for so long that we think of them as being old, and they've got those old totemic figures. So it'll be difficult for the management teams, but I think possibly even the fact that Tipperary have a new management team means that we'll see them hitting the ground running quite early on in this campaign. Yeah, from the managerial change point of view, I think the situation in Tipperary is particularly interesting because you had this brilliant, genius managerial ticket, really, who eventually got Tipperary over the summit, and now Declan Ryan walks into the situation as a legend himself in his own right, with a number of different teams before and with great underage pedigree as well behind him. But it's a very difficult situation because Kilkenny will be desperate to prove that somehow last year didn't represent their full range of talents. And then on the football side, obviously it has to be Meath. They've never had one before. They don't know what an outside manager is going to be like, and whether or not Banty is the right outside manager for them, we don't know, because maybe the inspirational figure that he could when he was in charge in Monaghan is something that he can bring to Meath, but maybe it was a specific thing local to Monaghan too. So those two, I think, are the ones that definitely from the first day you're going to be looking, what does it mean for Declan Ryan, what does it mean for Banty? In terms of dark horses, it's difficult to call the Galway hurlers dark horses at this stage because they get tipped at the start of every season and they tend to have good campaigns. But I know that they have some injury problems, so maybe they are technically dark horses at the start of the hurling league campaign, but they'll be taking it seriously. From a football perspective, it's just so open. It depends on how important Kerry find this league. How Tyrone approach the league from an emotional point of view is going to obviously be something that we'll have to wait and see over the coming months. Again, you look at Meath and Kildare and the teams in the top two divisions, it'll be very interesting to see exactly how they emerge from the winters and from the fairly tumultuous season for many teams last year. I think playing games under lights at Croke Park in front of huge crowds, these are going to be massive spectacles. The ticketing initiative is brilliant, so you can expect huge crowds. I can't see how it can possibly be a disadvantage for the Dublin hurlers and the Dublin footballers to play their games. I mean, I know the hurlers are in Parnell for a couple of the games, but the footballers, it's a huge advantage for this young team to rekindle the symbiotic relationship that they had with those fans for so long, and which last year had a bit of a wobble through the qualifiers. So I'm fully in there. It's a massive advantage for the Dubs, and I think it's a good thing for the GAA. You know, I don't think anybody can complain about the advantage. They are the team who live in the capital, and that's where the resource of Croke Park is, and it would be stupid not to use it. Footballer to watch out for me this year is going to be James Kavanagh. I think that last season he burst on the scene in such a spectacular way with the goals and with the points, and from Kildare's perspective and as a Kildare fan, I really hope that he manages to reach the same levels that he was at last year, because if he does that, then he announces himself as a really important footballer across the season, and a few early good performances in the league would calm the nerves that the Kildare fans have, that perhaps last season was, you know, it wasn't quite a building block, it was a high watermark, and, you know, if there's progress possible, we want to see it. A hurler took out for, I'd say, I'm going to go for Porrickmore, Tipperary, because I just feel that if Tip are going to continue at the level that they've been at for the last two seasons, it'll be players like him who dictate the level of desire and how much winning in All-Ireland has seeped into the culture of them. Is it something that they're happy with and that's enough for them, or do they have this hunger to dominate the game, to dominate rivals and to bully them the way we've seen Kilkenny do? So I think he's a key man for Tip this season.